very extra special guest tonight. He's the current chairman and co-owner of one of the USL's most historic clubs, that'll be Charleston Battery. Since purchasing Battery back in October 2019, fans have seen growth at Patriots Point, both on the field and in the stands. Black and Yellow currently sits second in the Eastern Conference, headed into the final stretch of the season. Rob Salvatore, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure to be here, and that sounds really good heading into the stretch.
Yeah,
it sounds
that's right. Final stretch, we're sort of getting into the thick of it. So tell us about the season so far, because from a supporter's perspective and from the casual's perspective, it seems to have been hugely successful so far. But from a ownership standpoint, tell us about the ups and downs and everything that's gone on so far.
Yeah, I mean, as it relates to this year, really good. Just really fired up for the stretch run. It's a good team, and they've battled hard, and just happy that we can bring some joy to Patriots Point and pay back our supporters who have been so good to us over the last 4 years since we came in. So in that sense, really just really excited for the next 9 weeks. A regular cadence here. We'll be playing every Saturday, so the guys have grinded, and I think we've played more road games than anybody in the league. So looking forward to having a good homestand down the stretch. And like any season, there's some ups and downs. We've had some good runs, and we've had some stretches where we haven't scored goals, or guys have gotten hurt, and we've had to persevere. But in comparison to last year, where I think we were about sitting on 4 wins and maybe 12 or so points at this point, it's been everything I hoped for. Lee and Ben have come in and understood our vision and taken it to where we believe it can go, and I'm just really excited for September and October and what lies ahead.
Yeah, it was awesome to get down there in Charleston for the home opener. We were lucky enough to cover the home match and speak with the supporters group. They were very, very
very excited.
They were excited, but they weren't expecting where you guys are now, and that was the biggest surprising factor of it, considering obviously who you brought in from a leadership perspective and from a coaching perspective. So it's been awesome having sat down with Lee as well. I mean, he spoke so clearly to what he wants from the team on the pitch and off the pitch.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to run into him at Patriots Point last week at the Oakland game, or 2 weeks ago, I think that was now. We were just kind of talking about November when we spoke and where the team was just at the end of the season or after the season had wrapped up. And like I said, it's cool to see where the team was and where they are now. I guess when it comes to being an owner, what are some principles that you hold to yourself and to the team that are keys to success? Maybe not just for the USL, like for the USL Championship Club, but for business as a whole.
Yeah, well, I think one of the reasons why we've been able to turn it around pretty quick here is Lee and Ben, they have a really good understanding of, I think, what we want the club to stand for and how we want it to engage with the community and how we want the players to represent themselves and represent the club. So with his experience and in particular with an understanding of what the USL Championship is, who the players are, how the teams function inside the communities, the grassroots aspect of it, what it means, how we have to entertain the fans, and what Friday and Saturday night mean. That, like, Lee getting up the curve was no real surprise. To answer the question and kind of segue into that from that point around, those guys understanding our vision, it's really about alignment. And as I think about USL Championship, it's not really much different than any other small business. I've been involved in entrepreneurial stuff for the last 20 years, and small businesses need to go really fast. They're under-resourced. You need everybody to be bought in and aligned. So for us, when we bought the team, it was about putting a flag down in terms of what we wanted to stand for in terms of the soccer side of the business, the commercial side, and the community side. We look at the business through kind of those three pillars, those three lenses, and they all feed off each other. The better we are in the community, the more support we'll get, the more people who come, the more home field advantage, the more sponsorship you can get, the more money you can put back into the team, and it just kind of goes. I talk about the flywheel. And I think having clear objectives in each of those buckets, we want to be relevant. We want to be hard to play against at home. We want to have a supporter culture and strong season ticket base. We want to be delivering value to our sponsors. We want to have the team serve the community and use the platform that we have to unite the community, to inspire young kids to grow the game, to get out our message around health and wellness, that people should be active and to be a community asset. So when we establish those objectives and we can measure against them clearly, it's easier for people whose responsibility it is to run the business day to day to get aligned with that. And I think that's helped Lee, and he's pushed it down into the front office, and they know what they do each day, how it ladders up to those objectives, and the same on the sporting side. So when I had my business out west, which still exists, one of my co-founders still runs it, but when we were a very small company and it's just a few people, it's easy to stay aligned. You sit in the same room and you don't have to have any meetings. You're all working on the same stuff. But as the company grows, you start to scale, having those clear objectives is really important. And we've been able to get kind of up the learning curve. It's a very steep learning curve in championship. It's a unique animal. And those first few years, especially with COVID, it was hard to kind of figure what was going on. We learned a lot, we made a lot of mistakes. We kind of broke it down and built it back up. But I think because we have that alignment and those objectives clearly stated, we're going fast. And maybe to your guys' opening point of exceeding expectations, maybe now that we bottomed out, so to speak, the rebound has been really quick, but I think the foundation and the underpinning was there. And now it's just, we're starting to get the gears locked in, and hopefully this is just the beginning of it. And we can make a bigger impact in the community and do better financially and win a championship, because all that stuff is starting to work on itself.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway from that is like you said, value. Like what value you're bringing from the sponsorship perspective, the fans, the community, the players on the pitch. Obviously, like you mentioned, football. Well, small businesses and football teams are not very different in terms of when it comes to business. Why did you get involved with a sports business in the first place? Obviously, you created your own entrepreneurial setup. What kind of drew you to owning a sports team? Obviously, we're looking behind you right now. There's plenty of sports memorabilia up there. Obviously, a fan of sport, but it is a risky business. It is it's a cutthroat business. I'm just curious to know what drew you to it.
Yeah, I think my older brother, who I own the team with, we own a majority of the Battery together. He had gotten involved in Major League Baseball. He's a co-owner of the Marlins, and that kind of came a little bit out of left field in terms of him getting involved in it. And we saw how fun it was, and that's big time Major League sports. When he and I talked about doing something together as a family, we liked the idea of a lower division club, because we saw the growth in the game of soccer in particular. There was an opportunity in the Low Country, which we had ties to, and our mandate really we actually wanted a project. We wanted something that looked a little bit like a turnaround that we could really put our fingerprint on, and we wanted to be able to control it. And so it kind of checked all those boxes. So a little bit of an extension of, I'd say, his pursuit into professional sports, and a little bit of an extension of my pursuit into smaller business, building something, entrepreneurship. And so all those elements came together, and this historic club being available was a really unique opportunity. It is risky, as you said. There isn't the kind of that in a way, that fallback of huge media and centralized revenue. These are risky businesses. It just came from the owners meeting in Colorado Springs, where I'm with my colleagues and my peer group, our cohort, and we spent a lot of time talking about how do we run fiscally sound, sustainable businesses. That's a lot of what the conversation is about. Very, very smart people who have put a lot of time and effort into it. And we feel a sense of it being early days, but a ton of opportunity in front of us. And that's something that attracted me, was beyond my love of, see all my cards up there, and beyond being able to, I thought I was athletic, but I wasn't a good enough athlete to play competitively in college at a high level. But I love the theater of sports, and it's why it's the holy grail with media, is because it's unscripted and it's live. And it's just a dream to be around these guys. I see how hard they work every day, and what they put themselves through, how much they care, the grind of a season. It's just so cool to be around. And the fact that it has this grassroots element to it, and it is a community asset, and it brings so much joy and entertainment to Charleston. It's really it's the dream that we had hoped for. Watching the Marlins beat the Yankees this weekend was really fun too. But the fact that I've got my hands all over this organization, and you live and die with the ups and downs of it, going through a season like we did last year and then coming back. It's just it's a really unique opportunity. It's a privilege, and it's a really unique small business. It's kind of everything you wish for and more. And as a fan, it's kind of the ultimate experience. So.
I couldn't agree more. Being at Patriots Point a couple weeks ago, I mean, you guys definitely know how to put a show on. Let's put it that way.
I appreciate you saying that. Yeah. I mean, look, it's entertainment.
Yeah.
It's improved too. Every time we go back, it seems like there's something at least a little bit more added to. Like again, we were there when the grandstand opened up on the other side of the field. It seems like there's more concession stands. So I mean, it is noticeably improving rapidly while still being a good product right now, I think.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you saying that. It's been the joy of being at Patriots and working with the college. It was this blank canvas that we stepped into, and we've been able to iterate, each year doing something different, whether it's the South Riser now and having supporters on both sides, the PA system so we can have more environment during the game, the decks. In this offseason, we're going to redo the field surface, which becomes more of a recruiting mechanism for us and for the college teams. All of that and the backdrop with the ship and the bridgescape, all the landscaping and the stage and stuff, we've just been able to kind of keep adding on and learn from it season in, season out, and hopefully just keep getting better while always maintaining the vibe, which is intimacy, be on top of the action, feel like you're outdoors, and have the taste of Charleston with the food trucks and the local beers being there, which is a town that loves its food and beverage and is very proud. So having that out there is, we get a lot of compliments on that. People love that it's local and that the best of Charleston's there. So we'll just keep iterating on it and keep getting better. And I think the more we pack the place, the more opportunity, the more doors are going to open up. I
think we might have had a few local brews when we were there.
The Striker's Wit is such a good beer. It's hot as hell in Charleston. Everyone knows that, and that cooled me down, and it's so refreshing. So, and the home team barbecue is also just so good.
Yeah, we got the Froze, the co-op, the local beers. So it's a little bit of something for everybody.
I always joke that the USL is like single-handedly keeping the shipping container industry afloat, because every time I go to a field, but it's such a great use for them though, because you can do concessions there, serve food out of them, but it's always such a genius way of. I like that touch a lot.
They're super durable, and look, we're a port, and the cargo ships are going by in the background. So from a
leave that extra box. We could use that and sell some jerseys if we need to.
I did have a question around Patriots Point. Obviously, it's a historic place for the Charleston Battery and the College of Charleston. You share a really good relationship with them. Is there plans for yourself to make it? We're seeing a lot of USL Championship clubs build these like massive stadiums or like soccer specific stadiums. Is that something that you envision? Maybe not on that scale, that large scale, but like on a scale where it's still intimate and you have that like outdoors feeling where you kind of just like enclose it a bit more. Is that something that you've thought about from an ownership point of view?
Yeah, we've there's a lot of development going on right across the street. There's plans for a couple hotels and amphitheater and a couple $100 million going in the ground with Bennett Hospitality, which is really exciting. We love it down there. We found a home and the growth of the community is around it. So we feel really good about that. I'd love to continue to develop, if we can keep the pavilion and in a way, that vibe that I talk about, but get a little bit more permanence and structure, especially some shelter on hot days, if there's storms. We are kicking around the idea of building something that's kind of more performance related. You get some of our facilities, and if we can do it in conjunction with the college, and everybody level up what type of facilities we're offering our athletes. Bringing all that together and doing it there's certainly the room for it. It's going to take a little bit of time, but we'd love to do that, and we'd love to do it in conjunction with trying to become. We're going through the process of trying to become a base camp for 26, which would bring up we have to have certain standards in terms of what the facilities would look like, the physical facilities, the fields itself. So. The authority who runs the Naval Museum, which is the Yorktown, their mission is to bring people down to Patriots Point and build the exposure of the museum, the college, and then the town and us. Everybody's working very much in concert together and sharing their plans and their ambitions for the future. So it's a good partnership. I'd say don't be surprised if in the next couple of years, with the success we're seeing and the growth of Mount Pleasant and the Point itself, if some big stuff comes out, but are we going to build a $70 million, 13,000 seat, arena that
yes, we are. You heard it here first.
I mean, I think we know what we are, and some of that stuff might happen around us, but cohabitating with the college teams is working, and we're going to redo the field. We have a great grass surface. It is a soccer specific setup, so in that sense, the sight lines and I think the experience is good. It's just how can we elevate it to have a few more features and amenities and some of the things that help us with the realities of living in Charleston and dealing with thunderstorms and stuff. So
definitely, no, that's exciting to see what's to come. When we look at American ownership in football, we see a lot of negativity, I guess, from the European perspective, American owners going there. Todd Bowley being a very, very prime example of that. Technically, you guys are colleagues, but on a different scale. I guess, what's your take on American ownership in football and us as Americans? I mean, I guess leaders in business, in sport, and the role that Americans play in that. What's your point? What's your point of view when it comes to that?
It's hard to comment on. I see, is it some of it national pride and, why are they here and how are they doing things? Are they honoring tradition the right way? I would just say this about sports in general and sports ownership. Where are the valuations going? And if you look at sports in general, whether it be football overseas, American gridiron football, baseball teams, etc., there's a lot of wealth that's chasing it and pouring into it. And if the product is getting better and it's a better experience for fans and viewership is up and attendance is up, and people are putting their capital at risk, private capital at risk, there's going to be winners and losers in it. And I understand that maybe some fan bases get ticked off, but I would wonder how that correlates to winning and losing. I think a lot of it goes hand in hand with that. But again, if it's people's private capital and it's their business, they can do what they want with it. As I think about the Battery, we bought a team that had a long history, that had the community very much, emotionally attached to it. There was uncertainty when we came in, and what we've tried to do is be good stewards of it. Is whether it's like changing the logo. It's the first thing I did it before I bought the team. I got a new logo made. How do you honor tradition? How do you, in a way, turn the microphone on, listen to the fans, get their input? What would you like to see us do with the team? What amenities do you want in the stadium? Our supporter section was designed by them. They're like, don't give us seats. We want drink rails. We want to be on, these guys want to be on the south side. So I think if you come in and you're cooperative and you listen and you use that as feedback, and it's like anything else, it's just listen to your customers. And then I think if you're trying and you're investing your own time and capital, for the most part, I think you're gonna be appreciated. Like last year, we sucked. We were bad, right? We were basically DFL, and I felt a tremendous amount of support from our fans and from the community, because I think they saw us trying and grinding and listening to them. And I think that's just, if you kind of have that North Star and you know what your objectives are and you stay true to it, you'll be in good shape. Which group is splashing their money around which continent? I mean, we see a lot of it now, right? And what's gone on in golf and all that. And it's big business, and it's going to attract a lot of capital and a lot of opinions.
Yeah,
so.
100%.
I knew the Battery were the third option for Moises Caicedo this window if Liverpool and Chelsea didn't work out, but the bid fell a little bit short. There's a lot of different avenues you could go with this specific question, Rob, but I'm wondering, what's a complexity about sports ownership? So that could be specific to soccer, but what's a complexity about sports ownership that people don't really know about or don't talk about, or something that might have caught you by surprise when you first started getting into this business?
Oh, that's a good question.
Other than the sweet trading card hookups that it introduces you to.
Yeah, I haven't gotten any yet. Still waiting for Panini to give me my care package. I would say the most interesting thing might be the fact that it plays out so publicly. So you could be a salesperson, a manager, and you have a shitty quarter, and like kind of nobody knows about it. But for us, in sports, you get a print every, like in our case, every Saturday night. And like, it's so there for everybody to interpret, right? You have media outlets following it, right? People are writing about it. Fans are walking out of the stadium, evaluating it in real time. It's so unique in the sense that it's evaluated in real time in front of you and then commented on and put back. And it's super hard for the players, right? Because with social media, if they had a bad game or a bad result, they can't go home and kind of detach from that. So it's really intense in that regard. We have a co-owner, a family office, local family office that's joined us. Great people. And after we got starched by San Antonio 7-0, we were together 2 days later, and we're in a meeting, and the guy was recounting what happened on Saturday night, and he looked at me and said, "I didn't know I cared so much." And it was like, yeah. And we have you have friends with you, and people are in town, and then you go out and you get pasted like that, and you just kind of have to really manage your emotions through the season. Interesting, and we got time. When I was a young guy working at Chase, it's 1998, and I'm just out of college, and
I was 3 years old.
Yeah, we had this group. We had this program in this group called Talkin' Baseball, and it was really cool. We had people from local teams and from the visiting teams that would come in, and we would bring our clients to it. It was middle market banking. And it was cool. And at the end of the season, Joe Torre spoke, and everybody's online talking to him. I kind of got online, laughed intentionally, grew up a big Yankee fan. And I asked him a question about the longevity of the season, and he answered it with just this calmness that he approached the season with. And he was talking to me about how the best teams will win 95 or 100 games maybe, which means you're still going to lose 75 games. And he said you're going to have these stretches in the season where you lose 4 or 5 games and you feel like it's the end of the world, and you feel like you're terrible, nothing's going right, nobody's getting a hit, nothing's happening in a timely way. And that could be a team that winds up winning 98 games and winning a pennant. And it's kind of the same here. So not only is it this in between, kind of week to week, you lose a game, and then you got to sit with it all week. And then if you lose 2 games, it feels like you haven't won in a year. And that's playing out publicly, and it's emotional. It's hard not to react in the moment as a fan, and we're fans, the owners and the people in management, the people in the front office are fans too. And you kind of prepare for it, and then there's this kind of letdown. So it's that public nature of the results, and then that kind of like pause in between. Maybe the good thing about baseball is you get to run it back the next night and do it again and do it 6 times in a week. For us, it's just once a week. So I don't know if that answers the question, but for me, it's been the hardest part of it is learning to manage your emotions. So I always think back to Torrey and how calm he always seemed, and how he could handle those egos in the season. And people, I think, maybe criticized him for oh, you had all the best players. And it's like, well, not necessarily. A good manager, and I think maybe a good executive or a good ownership is staying consistent, not getting too high, not getting too low, and filtering out all that noise that comes with sports. You want the fans to be passionate and rabid and fired up, but you kind of can't get caught up in that emotional aspect of it. You kind of have to just stay steady and stay confident. You have a point of view. We have a roster. We have a game plan. We have a marketing pitch, a go-to-market strategy, and we just got to stay true to that and execute against it, learn along the way and tweak, but not get too distracted by the week to week or the day to day. So that's also why it's so damn fun.
Was my follow-up. Obviously, you've mentioned a couple times how important the community aspect is and feeling close to the fans, and it's accessible and you're within reach of them. But obviously that also means you're easy to locate online. I'm sure you have an email that's floating around that gets bombarded. Do you ever take time to look through if a fan reaches out directly, or is that, how do you sort of view that? Because again, to your point, don't get caught up in it, but I see value in it too.
Yeah, I don't spend a ton of time on the social media. I think our staff does a great job in terms of using the platforms to engage our fans. I'm sure last year it was pretty negative, and this year it might be pretty positive. I do spend a lot of time talking to the fans, in the stadium. I see them, people, we sit out there. We have our little owners area now, but it's very much out in public. But I think it's important for us to be accessible. I think people, for the most part, are very, very respectful, especially during the game. They know that we're watching, and we're working. But I do think engaging with them, is important, because you can gauge their mood, you can gauge their level of passion. They do have good feedback about the experience inside the stadium and how we're doing. So I think, like anything else, there's a balance to it. I'm not necessarily going to take all of that and set the strategy with it, but I think being transparent and being realistic about where we think the club can go, and then being present in the community as an organization overall. There's a lot of goodwill that comes with that. And for the most part, fans want to be constructive. They want to enjoy the games. They're spending their money on it, and they want the team to be good. So yeah, again, there's going to be extremes. There's going to be some people who don't care, right? And then they're apathetic, and that, you have to try to change that. And there's some people who are going to be overzealous, positively or negatively. And I'd say cut the tails off, and what's the middle look like of the distribution. And that's probably where the best feedback's coming from. But the fans are great. I mean, they're seeing their happiness, especially like this year, as the results are good and our team plays hard and we win games at the end, and they're grinding, and Ben is communicative, and the culture of the team and the identity of the team is what it is. They're very appreciative of that, and they let us know, and it's fun to have, walk down the street and have people call out the Battery, and great win last night, or, season's awesome, great turnaround, big game this weekend. We're gonna come out and all that. So it's good. It's I'm here 24/7, right? I live in Charleston. It's not like I'm absentee, and my ear is to the street, and as is Lee's and everybody in the front office. So it's in that sense, you're never too far away from the customer.
I will say the Battery fan base was by far the most knowledgeable of the USL. We learned the most about the USL and what a lot of fans are feeling about certain topics from talking to the Battery fan base. So of all the places we've been to, had quite a few stops at USL clubs at this point, but I think they were definitely very outspoken in the best possible way. They were very vocal about a lot of things, and we learned a lot. And
listen, it's 3 decades, right? And this club, it's a long time. It's generational now. You've got people who are teenagers or in their 20s who were, ball kids, and, their parents, met. We have people who met and got, first date with a Battery game, and now their kids are, in college and stuff. So it's, in that sense, they're pretty far ahead of, I think they're out there in terms of the curve. And then a lot of our fans here are also European football fans, so they kind of watch the game at the highest level and support, our division, and they know what's going on. I think one of my favorite things all season was Palma was upfield and he got, there was a counter and he just hoofed it all the way back, got back, had a long sprint, probably 50, 60-yard sprint, made a great tackle, and everybody cheered. And I was like, yes, that is when you cheer, when a guy busts it. But, it's like being at a hockey game and, you're on a heavy forecheck and you just have the other team pinned in and the place is just going. And I love those moments of our fans rewarding the hustle and the smart play, because the guys hear it and they feed off of it. And that makes them more inclined to make the run the next time.
So sort of an interesting topic here, and we've had a lot of different opinions on it, but I would be really interested to hear an owner's perspective on it. Promotion and relegation is something that's been tossed around as something that could be introduced to the USL within the next few years. I think there was even recently a vote regarding a decision involving promotion or relegation.
Yeah, we didn't vote, but it's been, it's been a topic. But yes, it's very much at the forefront of what we're discussing as a league. Yeah.
So, from a fan standpoint, would sort of be the end game for us. I think most American fans would love to be able to say that the U.S. pyramid is indeed a pyramid with a system of promotion relegation. We'd love to see teams like Charleston fight their way into Premier League with seeing all the money and amenities that brings smaller clubs in Europe who get promoted. I mean, you mentioned moments not too many moments ago of how that's your favorite part of the game. I mean, I can't think of a better moment than seeing Battery promoted to a league above them. But is that the end game for most owners, would you say? I know it's probably a very nuanced idea to introduce something like that. What are the ups and downs of something like that coming to the States officially?
Well, it's the details, which is kind of what you're alluding to, is how does it get implemented? Like what would we, we're in the second division. What would we be getting promoted to? We're not owned or tied into the MLS. So, and if it's inside USL, how does it work with the current construct? So there's a lot of thought happening around that. What we're also doing is listening to the market. Is this something that people want? American fans are watching overseas. You have the leagues that have it, and then you have mass media like Wrexham that brings the concept, very much into people's living room, maybe for the casual fan who isn't the Premier, League supporter, or maybe didn't live over there and kind of understand what it is. It's certainly exciting. I think from a USL ownership perspective, we want to be a challenger and differentiated. So in that sense, it's really exciting, and I don't want to overstate how we figure this all out. We're not trying to split the atom. It's a sports league that is trying to figure out a competitive structure, but it's really unique, and we're doing the work around it to see if it can happen and what it means if we do. I like the fact that we're not going to just rush into it because it's a shiny object, because there could be unintended consequences. But from my perspective, I like innovation, and I think as individual clubs and as a league, we need to be innovators, and we need to be challengers. So in that sense, I'm really interested in it, and I hope that we continue to work at it and discuss it. And I assume it's a way for us to build a huge audience.
I agree with you 1,000%. It'd be very, very cool to see that involved.
Be pretty box office.
Yeah, pretty box office for sure. Rob, so we'd like to end off this interview with some rapid fire questions. If you're feeling fresh, I know we asked you a lot. I know we asked you a lot of questions already tonight, but starting off, favorite moment of the season so far?
Favorite moment, probably the what we refer to as the rain game. The Hartford game at home, where it was pretty cold and it was raining sideways. I think we had about a 20-mile-an-hour wind coming straight down the pitch, which is why Arturo's ball, I think, bent the way it did and got through. Also, too, because the 700 or 800 people who stuck around got rewarded. Yeah, that was a wild game. Bruce from Hartford was with me at the time. He's a good friend, and yeah, we've had a lot of results like that, so it's hard to pick one. But I think given the elements, that was pretty theatrical with the rain and it's very good slow-mo highlights.
The free kick was pretty insane. I would say the Hartford game at Hartford was probably my favorite moment. That AJ Patterson goal was
crack there at the end was. Yeah, his celebration was also pretty awesome too.
Yeah.
When he put the ball under, because he just had a son, so that was
that's hilarious.
But yeah, we like to we're pretty dramatic, and we're very dramatic against Hartford, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
The cardiac battery, I like that. Favorite spot to eat in Charleston?
Oh boy. I've been pretty consistent. I love Melfi's. It's Italian guy. It's my type of cuisine, but it's just a really sharp fit out. The Ordinary is also great. There's a lot of good places. My wife and I, we go to Basic Kitchen right down the street. It's a good kind of healthy lunch spot, but no shortage of it. Tons of great chefs and more coming. But Melfi's is probably all around with food and fit out is probably my jam.
I'll have to check that out next time I'm in town. Yeah.
No.
Favorite battery kit this season?
Probably. I like the primary kit. It's us. Gray did an unbelievable job with them. I think they're all different. I just think the way he integrated some of the the iron gates and some of the subtleties of the market, but I think it's a great look. The accents in red and just it's us. It's who we are.
Mm-hmm.
I love it was one of the things that drew me to the team. The color scheme and just the tradition, and yeah, I love it. There's some good stuff going around the league. I think people are stepping their game up.
Oh, 100%. I'm excited to see how the battery develops as the years goes on, and I guess I would say American sports knows how to make really nice jerseys, no matter what.
Plus, it's easy to separate Americans from their dollar when it comes to jerseys. I know I definitely fall into that category. So keep making jerseys, and I'll keep buying them, Rob. Who's your favorite USL team to beat?
Look, points are points.
Sure. But who's your favorite team to beat?
Yeah. Points are points. If you're going to make me answer the question, it's always good to get one on Tampa. One, they're a rival, and part of obviously the great tradition in this country, and they're the best. So you want to beat the best. We got two on them this year. Boy, they look good lately, and I think 3 points always tastes sweet. It doesn't matter who you're getting it against. Like Saturday night. And it's the thing that's interesting is you make friends in this league, and like with Detroit, I'm with those guys all week. We're texting back and forth. We're joking around. We're kind of helping each other out, and then for 90 minutes, you got to kind of stop it, and you beat your brains in, and then it's a good game. But it's fun knowing the other groups now and going to certain places. Like I went up to Pittsburgh my college roommate came down. I was there with my sister and her husband, all of whom have a small piece of the team. And like, it's great going. I love going to going up to, places and getting razzed. And I would say if you win on the road and you're in the building, that is the sweetest victory.
Yeah, definitely.
Love it.
And you guys have been great away, so that's perfect.
We have been very good on the road.
Yeah, 100%. Favorite leisure activity outside of business?
And I guess outside of trading cards now, because we've learned that you do love those. So what's another interest of yours?
I love running. Charleston is one of the things that's great about Charleston is being able to walk. It's very cosmopolitan, European, I guess, in that sense. So we have a very energetic young husky. Young howler, and although she doesn't howl as much as our other one, but it's a great city to walk around and it's a great city to run. So I love being out on my feet in the city and exploring. I love music, play a little guitar, so that's probably a thing. And Steph and I love to go out to eat, so we're in the right place for that. So being out with friends, out taking in what Charleston's got to offer on the food scene has been really good.
Well, that's great to hear.
Rob, we absolutely love what you're doing. I mean, Battery have been one of the most fun teams to watch in the league this season. We are biased, of course, because we are kind of Battery fans ourselves, but it's been awesome to see what you guys are putting together down there. We are very much looking forward to the playoff push and watching you guys stream on ESPN Plus, which everybody should watch the Battery on ESPN Plus when they play.
We appreciate it, and the league needs needs coverage. So thank you for you guys for growing the game, doing your part to grow the game and grow this league. So we look forward to seeing you. 9 games left, and hopefully one in late October at home to treat our fans because they deserve it.
Sounds great.
Awesome.
Thank you for joining us,
Rob.
Have a good one.
Thanks, guys.